Hello and welcome to the Podium Pod, the Pick and Rolls National Basketball Podcast. As we conclude Paris 2024, I'm Adam Webster, and it is my great pleasure to actually be bringing you a Podium Pod where we talk about the podium. We're on the podium. The Opals have won rose gold, the bronze medalists at the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. I'm joined to discuss that game, firstly, by my colleague from pickandroll.com.au, Tom Hirsch.
Tom, great to be with you, Adam. Great to be with you, mate. Couldn't be happier. Smiling from ear to ear. What a great performance by the girls.
And also from pickandroll.com.au, Will Crouch. Will, welcome to the show again.
Thank you for having me. Big sigh of relief. It feels like a weight off everyone's shoulders, doesn't it? It's awesome. Just a great night for Australian basketball.
Huge result. 85-81 was the final against Belgium, a Belgian side who just hung around the entire contest and made it as difficult as possible. The Opals really earned this bronze medal in every possible way, from their loss against Nigeria straight up to their performances, against Canada and France, to the great quarterfinal performance, and then obviously the semi-final loss to the US, where they stuck with them for about one quarter, and then it kind of faded away from there. But you can't expect much more against Team USA. But Australia, 85-81 winners. Tom, immediate reaction from you?
Well, I'm wearing it tonight. It's normally hanging up behind me for these podcasts, but shout out to Ezi Magbegor. We've been waiting for her to bust out offensively in this tournament, and boy, did she do that and then some tonight. Right from the get-go, I mean, she came out shooting. She actually missed her first shot, and my first reaction was, oh, I hope she's not missing again. And then she started to roll. And between her and Alanna Smith, they scored the first 12 points for the Opals. And then Ezi started rolling from there. She had 14 points by halftime, kept it going with another 12 in the third quarter, and finished with just an absolute monster of a game. 30 points, 13 rebounds, 3 blocks, 2 steals, 3 assists. She was 12 of 17 from the field and 6 of 6 perfect from the free throw line, and just did a bit of everything. Whenever there was a big play to be made, whether it was offensively or defensively, whether it was a big rebound just to start the transition, getting hands in the passing lanes, blocking a shot, and obviously finishing beautifully all night long. She was massive. This was her coming out party on the international stage. We know she does this at WNBA level all the time, but we've kind of been waiting for her to break out as an Opal. And she's announced herself to the world now, and boy, did we need it, and boy, did we love it.
Well, we'd spoken on Podium Pods past of Ezi's sort of performances across this tournament, and they weren't all that strong heading up to today. And Haley and I spoke about it very early on Saturday morning about how it had been a really tough tournament for her, and how she had another chance to sort of put her stamp on the tournament. And my word, did she what? I mean, 30 points, 13 rebounds, and I'll forever remember that volleyball spike block in the last quarter as well. Just the authoritarian block by Ezi Magbegor was unbelievable.
It was incredible, wasn't it? In my article last week, I said, don't sell your Ezi stock. The great players, they don't turn bad overnight, or they don't lose their touch overnight. Ezi, it was bound to be a law of averages thing for Ezi. She was working through a few things in the offense, a bit of personnel change, Beck Allen out of the team. There's a domino effect with all of those factors. And Ezi would be the first to admit that the tournament didn't necessarily start the way she would have liked. But the great thing about great players is they work that stuff out. And Ezi, in the biggest game of her life to date, almost, you'd think she turned up. And as you mentioned, 30 points, 13 rebounds, just incredible. And I think it's incredible as well. Tess Madgen spoke, the captain, last year, saying Ezi is ready to take the baton from Lauren Jackson. Well, that could have very much happened tonight. LJ, we didn't see her on the court. She said it before, she probably won't go again, and she's, maybe led us up the garden path. But you would think this is probably the last time we see LJ internationally at a major tournament. Yep. And Ezi long has been the heir apparent, but, those transitions and new era, end of an era, they don't always happen seamlessly and smoothly. But tonight, I really do think we saw the passing of a baton, and wasn't it an incredible effort on the biggest stage from Ezi Magbegor?
I want to also talk about Tess Madgen for a second, just before we move on to other players. I mean, the bravery and leadership that Tess Madgen has showed in this tournament in parts. Early on, we were having conversations about, Tess versus Jade in a lot of those lineups, and saying that Jade was able to sort of push it a little bit more, and with Tess, the ball slowed a little bit more. But Tess showed her value tremendously in this tournament to steady this team and really give it a purpose and, an intelligence on offense. She hit big shots in a couple of very, very key contests, and 10 points today with some key free throws in the last term as well. I mean, Tom, that's precisely what you need from your captain, for someone to step up when it counts, make huge shots, and show everyone the way.
Exactly right. And another captain's performance from Tess. We saw it earlier in the tournament as well, in big moments. And again, tonight, she's kind of unassuming, but she's always there in the right spots. She makes the right plays. She doesn't force anything. And then when you need her to step up and make a big play, she's ready. And you talked about the 4 free throws she had to ice the game. She also hit a massive 3 with about 2.5 minutes to go. They had just made a 5-0 run, and we're like, oh, here we go again. And Tess hits a big 3 to push us back up by 6. And it's just that calming influence, as you say.
Yeah.
And, alongside Sammy Whitcomb, who I also thought was sensational tonight, just in the way that she ran the team and carried a really big load as that primary playmaker for much of the game. But yeah, Tess is right. And she held her own defensively tonight. She had a couple of big D boards as well, and just always in the right spots. And there's a reason why she's the captain of this team, and then she stepped up when she needed to.
Well, you've written articles on just about every member of this squad over the last 12 months on pickandroll.com.au. One of the recent ones that we discussed on the other podcast, Unwrapped, was the leadership of Tess Madgen and her ability to be able to reset the culture of this team. And, I think it's evident in the way that she's played, but it's evident in the way that she was able to steady the rest of the players on the team when she was on the court, right? That's the value she brings.
Absolutely right. I'll remember the big shots that she's hit, and this night is a moment that I think Madgen, especially, it's a team game. She's really driven that it's bigger than one person, but this is something all of those players in this team can hang their hat on, because it's the culmination of 3 Olympic cycles where there were no medals, and a long time out in the wilderness, and some really low points and really hard times. And Tess, as we've discussed, ad nauseum and in articles, features, and all the like, she's been the one who's really driven that. And I'm so thrilled for her. I'm thrilled for everyone in this team, but especially thrilled for Tess, as she's really spearheaded that cultural change and that leadership and sacrifice for what it means to have that success. And I think that being able to stand on that podium with a medal around your neck is validation that it's worked, and they've been able to climb the mountain. Sure, you'd love a gold medal. Anyone would always take that, but at the end of the day, it's not necessarily. I think sometimes we get hung up on the ranking of the gold, the silver, the bronze. I think for the Opals, it was about going and proving that they belonged back in that top 3, and they walk away that you can lose a silver medal, but you win a bronze medal. And I think it's just remarkable what Tess has been able to do, and so many others in this team in the leadership space. The Kayla Georges, the Sammy and Steph Talbot, who are in the leadership group as well. They've all been incredible in restoring that cultural side of things. But for Tess, this is a moment she'll never forget, of course, but I think it's going to be one of the, if not the defining moment of her career, what she's been able to do at these Olympics, but also what she's been able to do in the lead up to get this team and help them onto the podium.
The last Opals captain to lead their team to a medal, sorry, Adam, the last Opals captain to lead the team to a medal was Christy Harrower in London in 2012. So Tess Madgen will forever be the captain of a medaling team, and you will never be able to take that away from her. So just awesome to see.
Exactly.
Really brilliant accomplishment. We'll have a chat about the other stars in just a moment. Firstly, for the last time on the Podium Pod, we want to thank Team Feet for bringing you this show. Team Feet offers premium athletic socks for modern teams, however they compete. With sweat wicking cotton, arch support, ventilation panels, and compression stitching, Team Feet socks are built to outperform. Whether your team is tiny or 1,000 strong, Team Feet unites and excites your players and supporters with their combination of quality and performance. Join basketball teams around Australia and the world by choosing Team Feet. For designs and worldwide delivery, head to teamfeet.com. I want to talk about Sammy Whitcomb next because, Tom, you alluded to it earlier. Sammy was the linchpin of this offense. She made it go, and she was the, in case of emergency, break glass option. Hitting big shots in every single one of these Opals games and either keeping them in the contest or pushing their lead at really key times. But she just kept things ticking along, Sammy Whitcomb, and also brave. She got shots, in the semi-final and now in the bronze medal game. She went down a couple of times with some heavy blows, but just kept on coming.
Yeah, she did, and look, it wasn't her best shooting performance of the tournament by any stretch. It took her a while. I think she missed her first 5 threes until she hit that buzzer beater at halftime. That was her first 3-ball of the game. But she kept shooting, and that's what she's there to do. And as I said earlier, she also carried a massive load as one of the primary playmakers. We saw a fair bit of Jade Melbourne, and she got the start again tonight, obviously. But Jade didn't really have it going offensively with her own offense. She did have 7 assists, so I can't take that away from her. But we saw Sammy down the stretch being that primary point guard. Jade was not on the floor. It was Sammy with Tess, with Steph Talbot as the 3 guards / wings. And Sammy was exhausted by the end of the game. You could really see that. She was blowing hard, but she kept coming and just found ways to get this offense ticking, whether it was finding the bigs, whether it was spacing the floor and hitting some big threes herself, and she did. And she just, big players, experienced players know how to perform in big moments. And we've seen that from Sammy Whitcomb. She was great in the World Cup 2 years ago. She's been a little up and down, but pretty much up in this tournament, I would say, more so than not. Forgetting the shooting stats tonight, she was huge with 14 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. And that's what you needed as kind of that counterbalance to what our bigs were doing on the interior tonight.
Now, Will, I want to ask you about someone that you have written about and know well, Steph Talbot, with that huge block down the stretch. And talk about brave. I mean, Steph's been carrying a couple of injuries throughout the pre-tournament and then went off in the semi-final, and we thought that she might not play in this contest, didn't start, but then came on and was brave, filled the box score, and was just wonderful all tournament long. And once again, a steadying presence, particularly defensively for this Opals team.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Taubi's actually the injuries are probably a bit more severe than people understand and realise. And she's really been battling, and she's just such a warrior. You run out of words to describe someone like that. And I said in an article earlier this week that I thought she was their most valuable player. She does things that other people can't do. And for me, that was culminated in that block at the end of the game. There are only a handful of people who can cover that much space on the court, that deft in their awareness, that athletic and able to make that play happen. And to see her able to do that, but also with what she's been going through with her injuries and her load and what she's been asked to do in this team, really incredible moment for her to be able to kind of cap the bronze medal game with such a big play. So over the moon for Taubi. It's been a tough tournament for her, not necessarily from a performance point of view, but as you mentioned, just with her body, with being able to ask to go out there and go to war every day. And, it's what the Olympics is all about, isn't it? You go out there, you give everything you have, you leave it all on the court. And at the end of it, hopefully you walk away with, the ultimate glory, which is a place on that podium.
And finally, Alanna Smith was so strong all tournament, Tom, on the boards in particular. She was able to get, and one, she was able to, get to the free throw line, 5 attempts at the line tonight, 13 points, 12 boards. So a presence inside, particularly as Ezi Magbegor struggled earlier in the tournament, but she just persisted and continued to, produce near double-doubles or double-doubles time and time again. It was really a coming out party for her on this international stage as well.
It absolutely was. I think she's been great, and I think she's been one of the more consistent players through this campaign for the Opals. I've loved the way she's gone about it. I love what she does in the WNBA as well, obviously. And she brought that mentality because she's playing so well for Minnesota this season. She brought that mentality with her into this tournament, knowing that she can beat most of her opponents. And she came in with that mindset again tonight. She took it right at Linskin. She took it right at Miesemann, two really world-class bigs, by the way. And again, not her best shooting night, but she just found ways to manufacture points or keep the offense ticking over. 5 of her 12 rebounds were on the offensive end as well, and some of them were huge in terms of just keeping that ball alive and us finding a way. That late Tess Madgen 3 with about 2.5 minutes to go was off the back of some inside work from Alanna Smith, finding a way to keep that ball alive again and somehow just tap it out to her teammates. She did that time and again. But I love the combination of her and Ezi, and I think that's what makes this Opals group so exciting when you think about where they're going to go in the future, in future campaigns. I mean, you talk about what LJ's done, you talk about what Kayla George has done, and if those two, if this is the last we've seen of them, that that front court, and Tolo as well, I should add, that front court is in good shape moving forward with Ezi and with Alanna Smith, and they work so well together. They can both play 5, they can both play 4, they can both kind of operate from the high post, from the low post. We know Alanna can step out to the 3 as well, but it's what they do on the defensive end and on the boards that makes them so tough, and it's probably one of the better front court combinations in this tournament. So really, really great work from Alanna Smith, and I'm just super pumped that she gets her first Olympic medal. And really excited for what the future holds for those two together, especially.
That was going to be my next question around the next tournament. As we look forward to LA 2028, Will, I mean, you've got Jade Melbourne, you've got Izzy Boulace, who had a big 3 on the buzzer tonight as well. Alanna Smith and Ezi Magbegor, you would assume, will be in that squad as well. It's just got the makings of a really good high-level squad in LA in 2028, and one that, could very well give those very top teams a shake once again and be in medal contention.
Yeah, it's really exciting. And I think just going back for a moment, Tess Madgen and these senior Opals have let's just condense it. They've restored the culture. We'll leave it at that. They've done such a good job in that space. And they've built the foundations for this next group, the likes of Smith, Magbegor, Boulace, Melbourne, potentially a couple of veterans again in 2028, the likes of Talbot and Allen, you think may still be playing and may still go around again. And a word for Beck Allen as well. Devastating for her to have to miss out. But hopefully we see plenty more of her in the green and gold. But then so much exciting youth as well. The likes of Saffron Shields dominating for the Sapphires and so many other young, exciting players in the WNBA. You think of players like Izzy Bourne, who's just won the NBL 1 South MVP and had a terrific season. And Christy Harrow has spoken extensively on what she thinks the sky being the limit for her. And there's so much exciting talent in Australia. And I think with those linchpins, as we've mentioned, really good shape going forward and really exciting to see what can happen in LA 2028. I mean, the only bad part about them winning this bronze medal is now it's, 4 more years before we get to see them in the thick of things again.
Tom, looking back over the last 12 years, I mean, what does it mean for Australian basketball for the Opals to get back into the medals? They were, not a permanent fixture on the podium, but they were expected to be on the podium in every single Olympics of the last 30 to 35 years. And yet they went 2 Olympics without making it so far. It's really restored the respect that people have for this program, and it's brought a little bit more light onto the great players that we've got on this squad to see them on the podium.
Yeah, it's exactly right. And I think Will nailed it on the head a few moments ago when he talked about that restoration of that culture. I think that's absolutely right. I mean, they went into London, they went into Rio in 2016 thinking they're going to medal again after London. And it didn't go well. It wasn't a great campaign. And they're okay, reset, fine, got a medal, got the silver at the World Cup in 2018. And like, okay, we're back on track. That's fine. Go into get my Olympics right. We go into Tokyo with huge expectations for that group. And obviously we know of the drama that happened right on the eve of that campaign, and they just weren't obviously in the right mindset. And again, okay, reset, come to a World Cup in 2022 on home soil, which probably helped. A bit of inspiration from LJ coming back and pick up another medal, get it back on the podium. And they've carried that forward now. So I think we're looking at another era where I don't want to say we should expect the Opals to medal at every campaign, but they've certainly got the ability and the foundation and the culture and the wherewithal to do that. And as Will just spoke about as well, the pipeline of talent coming through is amazing. I mean, you talk about 3 more Aussies drafted into the WNBA this year. We haven't even talked about Nadia Poch, who's another one who could be an Opal in future. Georgia Amor as well, doing her thing, and she'll probably get drafted next year into the WNBA. And then some of the players who missed out this time as well, like a Darcy Garber and even a Steph Reed, they're not on the younger side, but they're certainly capable of still going around in 2 years' time at the next World Cup and potentially the next Olympic campaign. So that pipeline's really strong, but it speaks to what it means to these girls to put on that Opals jersey, just how much pride they take in it. And if you think about the size of our population and how this Opals group has always kind of punched above its weight, I mean, the fact that we medaled at whatever it was, 5 straight Olympics, I think, from 96 through to 2012, as well as all those World Cup achievements, winning gold in 06 as well, crowning that. It's an unbelievable run for a country of our size. And the fact that we've still got this pipeline of talent coming through just speaks volumes of the people who've been there before. And we talk always about them wanting to leave the program in better shape than where they found it, than when they came in. And I think when you look at the Kayla Georges and the Tess Madgens and obviously the Lauren Jacksons, I know I'm forgetting someone, Tolo as well, and potentially Sammy Whitcomb, depending on what she does. They've all had their own impact, and they've all helped to restore that pride and that success for this program. And capping it off with a bronze medal here tonight is just reward for all of that, and it's just fantastic to see.
Final words from you both. Lauren Jackson. This will be the last time we see Lauren Jackson in an international tournament, we assume. She, to your point, Tom, you like to leave things better than you found them. Well, Lauren Jackson's effectively done that twice now. She's left the Opals program in better shape, went away, came back, and left it in better shape again. So we'll... I know so many words have been said, have been written about the greatest Australian basketball player of all time, but I'll give you guys the opportunity to say a few more.
Well, yeah, I mean, it speaks volumes, doesn't it? She came back for that World Cup. They were on the podium. She came back for 1 more Olympics. They're on the podium again. She's been able to just inject that winning edge into Australian basketball again, which is so amazing to see. The beautiful image for me is LJ and Izzy Ball-Ace standing next to each other at the anthem every game. 43-year-old LJ and 19-year-old Izzy, we're across generations here, and they're standing side by side. What it means for Izzy, that kind of moment, and you see them at the end of the game celebrating on the bench as the seconds tick down. It's just incredible to see the impact that she's had on these people growing up and then playing alongside them again. It's just so rare in sports. So it's probably something we're never going to see again. And I feel lucky to have watched it, and I'm sure so many other people just feel lucky that we've been able to experience that. As you said, there have been so many words, so much written. I feel like I'm not even qualified to kind of even start going down that rabbit hole, because it is just such an incredible feat from LJ. But I'll hand over to Tom, because I just feel like we're lucky to have experienced this second act from LJ.
No doubt. And despite the minutes that she's played or not played this tournament, I can guarantee you she's had a massive impact on this team getting back to that podium, because she's a calming presence, even just sitting there on the bench. But I'm sure what she does behind the scenes, in the locker room, at practice, in the hotel, in team meetings, in film sessions, the guidance that she gives to those younger players, the experience that she has that you just cannot replicate, is priceless. And we're absolutely privileged to have seen her come round again, to see what she did in that World Cup in 2022, to see what she's done in the last couple of WNBL seasons as well. And now, obviously, the impact she had in helping them qualify in February in Brazil, and then telling us that was it. And then, no, change my mind. Why not? I'll have another go around. And here she is. And again, not having a massive impact on the box score in these games, but just being there is huge. And you think about the legacy of that, and you talked about the image of her standing next to Izzy Ball-Ace, which is great. There was a photo going around earlier, I think it was last night or early this morning, of her and Brittany Griner hugging in the backdrop in the tunnels underneath, after the USA defeated Australia in that semi-final. And the respect that Brittany Griner clearly has for LJ and a number of players on that US team who probably didn't cross paths with her in the WNBA. I'm not sure whether Brittany did or not. If they did, it would have been very brief in terms of that
Very,
age
very
gap
brief.
and when
Yeah.
LJ finished up. But the level of respect and what people know what LJ's achieved in her career and the fact that she's still going around again at 43 years of age is just unbelievable. I think it's been an absolute treat for these youngsters to be able to play alongside her, for them to be able to share an experience, a trip, a campaign like this with her. And for LJ to go out with another podium finish just speaks volumes to the impact she's had on Australian women's basketball and Australian basketball in general. Since she burst onto the scene in the late 1990s. It's just an unbelievable run. I'm not sure we'll ever see it replicated again. And we're all just privileged to have witnessed it, to be a part of it, and to get to enjoy it again these last couple of years.
Well, that's a perfect way to end the Podium Pod for 2024. We thank all the contributors for being a part of the Podium Pod across the Boomers and Opals games, and I'm thrilled that we were able to finish with an appearance on the podium itself. So for Will Crouch and Tom Hirsch, I'm Adam Webster. Thank you for joining us across the Podium Pod in 2024. We look forward to coming back for more international tournaments in future years. You can follow the Pick and Roll on all social media. You can subscribe to pickandroll.com.au to read Tom's words, Will's words, and the entire team. There's no one better in this country at following youth basketball, senior basketball, international basketball, wherever Australians are playing basketball around the world. The Pick and Roll is there. You can also subscribe to Unwrap, the Pick and Roll podcast, which releases every Friday. Tom and I spoke to Johnny Furphy, the new Indiana Pacer, this week. So you can head to pickandroll.com.au or search for Unwrap, the Pick and Roll podcast. Tom, thank you for being with me once again, and I'll see you on a Friday very shortly for another Unwrapped.
It's been a lot of fun and no better way to end it. And let's do it again sometime.
Indeed. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and listening. We'll see you again next time.